Guys, if you just focus on your niche and your craft, you're gonna be just fine. Like, travel agents didn't really go completely extinct. I mean, who books $1 million vacations for us now? You know, there's tons of those. Expedia doesn't get all the $1 million vacation bookings. There's gotta be, you know, a cruise specialist. You ever heard of them? All you gotta do is focus on producing value and good services, and Zillow's never gonna take your business. They're never gonna get it. Stop giving all your data to Zillow. I'm gonna go back to paper files because dot-loop is dangerous. We really should go back to call desks at the office when setting appointments because showing time is gonna be infiltrated by the Russians.
Hey everybody, the real estate market is gonna be fine. You need realtors in any market. How do people get in to see houses, you know? They can't just kick the door down. Zillow's my friend. They're not out to compete with us. Are you stupid? They're a partner in the business.
Have you ever heard of EXP? Hey there, Jared Jones, Jones Group Real Estate. Today, I'm gonna walk you through Zillow's annihilation of the real estate industry and what you need to know about it. In all reality, I'm actually gonna take you through a series of steps of what I would do if I were Zillow. Imagine you have Zillow's resources right now. What would you do with the real estate industry? Today, that's what we're talking about. So the number one thing I would do, and obvious, is I would link showing time to my website. Super easy, right? Obviously, you can go on there, buyers are shopping for a home, they click the button, and then people can actually set up showings for these houses. Number two, guess what? Showing time is actually not a buyer resource as much as it is a seller resource. Think about that. You imagine this, Zillow gets licensed in all 50 states around 4 months ago, and then decides, well, we've got this amazing website, we've got a lot of infrastructure for receiving calls, speaking to buyers, pursuing buyers, but what else do we need? They need ground game. That's right. Zillow lacks ground game, and that's the major problem that we've got to solve as we're Zillow, right? And so if you are thinking that, you need to create a system where you can get people into the market to help buyers and sellers with real estate. When you think of showing time is really a seller tool to make it easier for the seller to communicate with the buyer, particularly with the agents. Now, Zillow has amazing resources, right? They've got obviously their own technology resources, their engineering teams, they've got a back-end and internet technology that's probably vast, yet being 4 months into this game where they're actually licensed in all 50 states, they've decided that it's faster to acquire showing time for $500 million than to simply build their own system. This tells me that Zillow is coming fast for the seller side of the business. Because if Zillow is going to get into the seller side of the business, they're going to need the resources to do it. Now, think about what showing time is, agents. Showing time is really bolted on to a lot of the MLSs throughout the country, isn't it? You're in the MLS, you go log in, you click the button, you set up the showing from MLS. If I were Zillow, I would stay bolted onto the MLS just long enough to take it down and become the MLS. And here's what I'm saying. If I were Zillow, I would basically exist with the MLS and the IDX feeds long enough to have all that traffic diverted to me before I could become the premier place of market dominance for all listings to start from. In my world, as Zillow, MLS is an inferior, ridiculous strangler of a child compared to the showcase of what buyers can see on Zillow. Zillow is way better, vastly superior, much more easier to use, more profitable and beneficial for the buyer to be shopping for a home on than these puny MLS tools, right? So in the end, I'm gonna wanna cave that system in and really kind of not have it there as an option to be in front of me, because in the end, it may not even be there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna purchase the tool so that a tool that's bolted on the MLS will not stop me from when I'm actually going to run the market from my own database, leveraged separately from the MLS. But however, one thing I do need to do first is I need to leverage all the cooperation of all the realtors to stay strong in the marketplace. I'm gonna basically use all the cooperation, the agents putting their data into the system, feeding it into Zillow through the IDX feeds, and I'm gonna leverage it long enough to take down that system, okay? And here's what I mean. If agents refuse to cooperate with one another, if they decided,
hey, we're gonna get off of our local platform, for instance here in Orlando.
You disband, You create your own separate independent MLS that does not have a feed that goes into the large technology firms like Zillow, like Realtor.com's, like. And you then market your own properties. You basically have your own control of your own data, proprietary control, priority access to those inventory, those listings, come to the agent direct. You then topple Zillow because Zillow at that point would only have new construction available for sell by owners on their website. But because I have the cooperation of all the boards working together, I'm going to use it to crush them. And at that time, I'm going to need showing time on my own side. I don't need it bolted onto an MLS, so I'm going to use it for myself. Which is honestly, you probably could buy it for a discount later on. Right, Zillow? Why would we buy it now? Why would we crush the MLS and then showing time has no buyers for it? The data is obviously important. So Zillow purchasing showing time shows me they want to speed to that result. They want to get that system in full use of Zillow, and they want it fast. They don't want to have to bolt on a product, create inside of Zillow a platform that gathers and communicates between sellers and buyers and communicates feedback and has a call office apparatus behind setting up showings. It's a ready to go system. That's what Zillow sees in that. The other thing that I would do if I were Zillow is I would bolt Dotloop onto Zillow. So I would make it easier for buyers and sellers to communicate through Zillow to buy homes directly on the same platform. So with Dotloop added onto Zillow's platform with showing time, then I would have all the contract platforms right there for buyers and sellers to actually make offers to one another. You would say, well,
there's no real estate involved.
Well, if I were Zillow, I'd have a little office suite of attorneys that are available on chat that actually can communicate with the customers all throughout the 50 states, and they can go ahead and make sure that, hey, fill this out, put this here. You have any questions, we can answer them, and then what do you need anybody else for? The next thing that I would do if I were Zillow is I would keep the agents in the marketplace overly concerned that my number one danger was data. That's what I would do. I would have everybody in the marketplace scared to death to use showing time, scared to death to use Dotloop, because all that Zillow pledges a large threat to me as a real estate agent is my data. But in the meantime, you know what I'd really do? I keep them all concerned over that. I make sure the cooperation stays in place, so I'm leveraging all the listing volume coming to me. And then I would start a network of putting tons and tons of those agents on salaries. I would use Zillow, my current platform, and I'd cherry pick the best buyers right out of my system. And then I would sell the last remaining buyers that I don't even really want to the last few arbiters that actually are using Zillow. And I would continue to migrate all realtors off my current platform. Now, the next critical important step that I would take if I were Zillow is I would amass listings as fast as possible. Now, stay with me. This is more complicated than you think. Zillow has to keep the agent asleep, or has to keep the agents preoccupied with data abuse. And if doing that, they stay cooperating and they keep giving listings and feed them to Zillow, because Zillow really only needs that until they become the linchpin for listing volume originating out of their brand. Because here's the deal. Zillow is not just a threat to real estate agents. Zillow is a threat to other large tech companies that are already in the real estate space, like Redfin, Rex Homes, Rex Home Exchange. Zillow, yeah, I believe, will probably compete with all of us, okay? And more than likely try and get into the investment of building bundles of programs and offers to take all of these people offline. If I were Zillow, this is exactly what I would do. Number one, I would make listings on my site more usable, more user-friendly, easier to see. I would bury other agents' results further down the index in Zillow. So I'm the number one home search brand. If you're gonna put your listings and your homeowner gonna hire an agent to sell your house, Zillow is also gonna do the same thing. And we're gonna give you more tools, more resources if you list with us. And we're also gonna have you higher up index and search so that people on this highly searched website sees our homes first. Now, as Zillow, early on, I would sell that option to listing agents. So I would charge them, you put your house on our site, we're gonna make you pay a fee to compete and have a higher brand. And so Zillow will still make money on agents, most likely on the listing side, because they're gonna be charging them to get some of these higher premium features. The other agents don't wanna pay for it, whatever. But the other thing that I think Zillow is gonna do, and if I were Zillow, I would compete with the entire marketplace using the same tools the technology companies are already using. And that is Redfin will actually, if you buy a home with them, they will reduce a fee on the listing side, save you a lot of money. Then they go ahead and I think even rebate a good percentage of the purchase side. Rex Homes does the exact same thing, where they actually have a little bit different structure where they take your home, they don't put it on the multiple listing service, it doesn't go in the board, there's no buyer fee offered, it's only 2% to list. However, you're not on Realtor.com and you're not on any of the board sites. I believe Zillow is going to bundle both of those products together. So they're going to create an amazing program to actually have your property listed and syndicated all over the web, including all the other real estate agencies' websites. But I also believe they're going to build an off-brand product that's like a for sale by owner basically, but it's actually a broker assisted listing. But it's not going to be in the board. They're probably going to charge 2% like Rex does, and they'll actually list the home most likely just on Zillow alone. And that'll probably be the real future of their brand product, is one list just on Zillow, featured above the fold, high prominence, better than the other realtors with a much lower cost. And then keep in mind, they're going to help you go buy into their house. They're probably going to give rebates on that type of stuff. They're gonna help you get financing. They're gonna also work on your insurance. They're also gonna sell in-home products for services and fees of building, remodeling your house, or doing all these kinds of things under one roof for far less than the average cost of a realtor can provide it right now, right? Stack the cool, reduce the cost, increase the value. That's what I believe, if I were Zillow, that's what I would do next. That's most likely what they're working on. And at the same time, if that were to take place, you're going to end up collapsing a lot of these competing companies. It wouldn't surprise me if they went and bought out Rex Homes. They end up purchasing some of these other lateral tech products. And in the end, Zillow, if they can garner 60, 70, 80% of the market share away from the rest of the industry, you don't have an MLS anymore. You don't have a need of it. The only thing you're going to be left with is a 20, 30% margin of business, in which I believe Zillow's goal, if it were me, I would be running bundles and products that actually can cater to a large, 78% of the marketplace goes in that one channel. Everybody that has need of selling their home, they all can fit in that channel. They all want to fit in that channel. They all want to save $7, $8, $10, $15,000 on the cost, yet get more cool value, right? And at the end, you have what's left, right? Because I don't think Zillow will try and build products that takes every single aspect of the market. I think it's gonna be a side market, A lot of these realtors online that are saying things like,
well, the travel agency isn't completely dead, right? Like there's some travel agents that book $1 million vacations for people.
Right, like how many of those are actually really necessary, right? $1 million vacations, I mean, what is that, the 1%? In the same thing, real estate, I think Zillow will probably end up taking away a huge percentage of the available economy and really kind of relegating most agents to the peripheral, okay? So you're gonna have a lot of agents probably end up working as Zillow employees because the demand's gonna change. They're gonna become the source of business. And then at the same time, the outside forces of business or availability pie that's left to eat that Zillow isn't consuming already is going to be what becomes the artisan agents, the ones that do very specialty niche type products. That's what everybody, you have all these people on these Facebook groups that are chatting about this are basically talking about, well, differentiate yourself and blah, blah, blah. What they're not understanding is what's going to be left on that concept of differentiating and niching and all that is a very small piece of pie. And that will be very much relegated to very few agents. It's all it needs to be serving that level of business. And that will become what is left of what we call the artisan level business, or the business that is very craft oriented, skill based real estate as we know it. I think that's where it would end up. And if I were Zillow, I'd be like, this is my pie and you guys can eat out there and I don't even care. And they will probably leave it. But that will probably be where it ends up. And even that business will probably look different in terms of cost structure and all that kind of stuff. The other thing that I see happening as a result, when the fringe business is out here the outside, there's not going to be any need for franchises. Franchises and larger companies are agent-based companies, and when the agent base is small, those companies are no longer necessary. The largest agent base in the country will probably be Zillow, and they'll probably be employed by Zillow, not independent contractors. And the larger outside business that is left outside of Zillow is going to be no franchise. So if you're in one of these companies that's got profit sharing and all that, you better clean up. Sell those stocks would be my advice, and I'm not giving you stock advice, but I think the end is near. So does Zillow. Buying a home in Central Florida is expensive. The Jones Group leverages latest technology and passes the savings on to you. Sellers list your home for just 1%. Buy a home with Jones Group, you get a $7,000 cash rebate at close. Don't let anyone you know buy or sell a home before talking to us.